Did I wear this shirt in the last video? If I did, that's embarrassing. I don't think I did. No, I was in a sweater. I was wearing a yellow sweater. Hi, everybody. Happy to have you back. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Harrison. If you're new here, welcome. Happy to have you. Today, I have a really fun lineup of 3 incredible soup recipes planned. We're finally getting to that time of year. It is 83 degrees outside. Fun. In all seriousness, I love soup. I love soup so much. Some people might say that soup is not a meal. Frankly, I disagree. I think I've talked about this before, but when I was like in college and like living in my first apartment and stuff like that, my girl dinner was I go to Gelson's. I lived in LA at the time, so if you know Gelson's, oof, I miss that place. I'd go to the soup bar. I would get their like chicken noodle soup, chicken and rice, whatever, like tickled my fancy that day. Would come home, heat up my soup, make a huge ice cold martini, turn on Housewives, have a little crusty bread and butter on the side, and have that for dinner. And that was heaven. So those are the vibes we're trying to recreate here today. So we have a potato and leek soup with ranch croutons. We also have a chicken and pastina soup. I'm using the little pastina that I brought back with me from Italy. And then we're gonna bring it on home with a spicy sausage, kale, and white bean soup that might be my favorite of the 3. Super savory, super flavorful. Hopefully at least one of these soup recipes resonates enough with you to make it and try it for yourself. All the recipes will be out very soon in my newsletter, which is called The Dinner Club. You guys can subscribe down below. We're gonna hop into these recipes and then I'll meet you back here at the end for another edition of Ask Harry, where I'm answering more of your cooking and entertaining questions and a couple other random ones. Enjoy the recipes and I'll see you in a second. Good evening, everybody. Tonight we're making our first soup recipe of this episode. We are making a potato and leek soup. I'm imbibing in a little Vesper Martini moment. It's Tuesday night, which means we have to vote for Dancing with the Stars, because I watch it on a little bit of a delay so I can fast forward through the commercials. So let's take a second and do our voting. Democracy is so important. 10 votes for Alex, duh. I'm voting for Jordan. All right, done. Now we can get started. So we're doing a little mini series of 3 lovely soup recipes for the fall. Tonight we're doing potato and leek soup. Super classic, super cozy. Very, very simple. But I'm gonna give you a couple different ideas for how to dress this up once it's all done. And that's kind of where the magic comes in with potato and leek soup, if you ask me. So, first things first, garbage bowl. We're gonna prep our potatoes and our leeks. I have 8 Yukon Gold potatoes here and 2 large, beautiful leeks. I love leeks. Love, love leeks. But with leeks, you have to wash them very, very well because dirt and sand can really get trapped in the layers. So I'm trimming off these dark green parts and the little stem ends. Slice each leek in half and then again down the middle. All right, there's that. Now with leeks, you need to wash them very well. So I've got just some cool running water. I'm gonna run them underneath the water and open up the layers of the leek like that, just to get all of the sand out. I just kind of flip through it like a little deck of cards. Shake off any excess water. Some people will also chop them all the way and then swish them around in water after they're cut. But I think this works just fine. Love working with leeks because they don't make me cry like regular onions do. Fling off that water. I'm gonna take a second and just dry off these leeks because we're going to sear them in the bottom of our Dutch oven to brown them before making the soup. So I want them to be able to get a nice hard sear. So press with a paper towel, get all the water off the surface, and these will be good to go. I didn't set up any lights to film tonight, so I hope you're okay with us just taking it casual. It's Tuesday night, making a nice late dinner, little cocktail while we work. It's good stuff. Had a really fun morning at an antique store with my friend Haley, and I can't wait to show you what I got because we're gonna use it tonight. All right, set those leeks aside. Now we're gonna turn our attention to these potatoes. I have 8 Yukon Gold potatoes here. I've already washed these, and they've just been sitting in the colander in the sink. So I'm gonna peel these. I'm not gonna be too precious about the peels. If, 90% of the peel is gone, I'm happy. I love using a Yukon Gold for this because they have a really nice starch content and a good butteriness, a nice creaminess. I use Yukon Gold potatoes for my mashed potatoes as well. All right, I'm going to cut these into quarters, pieces about, I don't know, can you see? About that big. Whether it's quarters, whether it's sixths. All right. I'm gonna throw a little cold water on these just to prevent any browning. Like so. We're gonna do a little garlic. I have a head that's already, here we go. I'm gonna peel off, 3 cloves of garlic here. Just peel these. No need to mince anything too fine because we're gonna boil all of this and take the immersion blender to it. So we can be a little fast and loose, Just like me, fast and loose. Okay. All right, put our garlic right there with the leeks. Okay, are you guys ready to cringe? I want to film this one for TikTok, so I gotta film a little intro sequence. Okay, I have another cozy fall dinner on the roster for this evening. We are making potato and leek soup. Did you hate that as much as I did? It's fine, I have fun. Over to the stove. All right, so back here, I've got 6 cups of my homemade chicken stock, just laying in wait. It was in the freezer, so I just kind of set it on a low heat in my little saucepan, and that's just been chilling there. Okay. First things first, we're gonna start to brown our leeks, and I want them to have a really nice sear on the bottom. A little olive oil in our pot. Let's get really nice and hot. Okay. I'm gonna do my best to keep them as one solid piece so that we get a decent sear on the one side. Just pack them in as best you can. A little salt and pepper on these. Looks like we need a smidge more oil. Just let them go. All right, let's check everything. Oh yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to see. All right, these look done. In goes a little garlic, 3 cloves. More oil is needed. I just want to toast the garlic on the bottom of the pan for just a little bit. While the leeks brown on the other side. This browning right here, this is really what's key to the finished product. We kind of got some brown bits collecting on the bottom. So, big splash of a dry white wine, whatever's in your fridge. Scrape up any brown bits. All right, now the fun starts. A couple sprigs of thyme. Got a little handful of parsley. This was in my fridge and it's kind of on the way out. Everybody in the pool. Then our 8 Yukon Gold potatoes. Season these with plenty of salt. Do not be shy. Then you have black pepper. In goes our 6 cups of chicken stock. This is my homemade chicken stock. It is so fabulous, but it's also unsalted. So a little more for good measure. I'm gonna throw in a bay leaf. I'm gonna turn my heat back up. Bring this to a boil, then we'll let it go down to a simmer until the potatoes and the leeks are really nice and soft. Hit this with the immersion blender, and that's really it. Alrighty, while our soup is simmering, I want to show you all a couple ideas for ways to top the soup. The soup itself is really simple, but the toppings, that's where this recipe gets really fun. So, first up, we're gonna make some ranch croutons. I'm making a small batch tonight because it's just 2 of us at home, so I have some sourdough bread that I've cubed up in large, kind of chunky pieces like this. Plenty of olive oil on these, salt and pepper, and then some ranchy type spices. You could also use like a powdered ranch dressing mix if you wanted to, but on goes a little onion powder, a little garlic powder. This purple striped garlic from Burlap and Barrel is so good. Oh my God, it's just so fragrant. So, a little of that. Oh my gosh, I'm spilling it everywhere. And then some dried dill weed. And then we will toss these with some fresh chives and fresh parsley when they come out of the oven. You could use all fresh herbs too if you wanted to, no big deal. Or all dried herbs for that matter, live out loud. Okay, I want more olive oil. Like I really want them hydrated. Zhuzh these together. These go into a 400-degree oven for about 20 minutes or so until they're nice and crispy crunchy. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and chop up some parsley and some chives for the croutons. And I want some extra chives on the side just to put on top because I love a chive. I think chives are best when they're sliced really, really small, really, really thin. Sharp knife and small strokes. You get like chive powder almost. You know what I mean? And keeping the chives connected with the little rubber band they came in from the store is very helpful with chopping them. It's probably good. Then our parsley. This is on the way out, so this is about to end up in the chicken stock bag, if you know what I mean. Real heads know. Just a nice fine chop on these. So while I'm cooking right now, this episode of Dancing with the Stars is airing. I had to put my sister on Do Not Disturb so she didn't ruin anything for me. Okie dokie. Little bowl of chives. Oh my gosh, you guys, that soup smells so good. Then our parsley. We're gonna give this board a quick wipe. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Y'all watching Bake Off right now? I'm like a little behind. But it's a cute season, I'm liking it. Already stained my Nantucket sweatshirt today. Okay, while we're waiting on that, let me show y'all my antique store find of the day. We're gonna use them tonight. I was at an antique store with my friend Haley earlier today, and I found this set of 4 Andy Warhol soup can printed soup bowls. I'm in love with them. So I'm gonna give these a good wash, and we are gonna get to use them tonight. I should do all these videos a little bit toasted. I'm having so much fun right now. Alrighty, croutons are in the oven. Our soup has been simmering away for about 25 minutes or so. So I think we are just about ready to blend. This is the fun part. We get to use power tools. All right. Soup has been simmering away for about 25 minutes now. I want to check these potatoes and see how we're doing. Oh yeah, nice and fall apart tender. I'm gonna take some of these and mash them before I hit them with the blender. Because you know, if you ever like have tried to put mashed potatoes in a hand mixer, ow, that was boiling hot. You ever tried to put mashed potatoes in a hand mixer and they get like a little gummy? So I don't want to blend this too aggressively. All right, I'm gonna turn my heat off while I have the blender going. Here's mommy's new toy. I forgot to fish out the thyme sprigs and the bay leaf. Oopsies! Oh, this is gonna be so good. Okay, there's a thyme sprig. Don't need that. Bye-bye. Fish out the bay leaf and the thyme sprig before you guys do this. This is so stupid. Do y'all believe they pay me to do this? Guys, cooking is so fun. Give it a check, make sure it's mostly smooth. I still like some nice texture on it. I think this looks great. Quick little taste for salt. Stove got clean today and look at me now. This is great, just like this. I'm gonna keep it over the lowest, most gentle flame just to keep it warm. Pop my lid back on. I'll be ready for dinner in just a few minutes. Okay, well, I was going to show you how to make crispy prosciutto to go on top of the soup, which would be really good and give you like an elevated baked potato soup kind of vibe. I'm plumb out of prosciutto. Imagine that. Let me double check. I just don't believe it. I could have sworn. Yeah, no, I got nothing, so that's okay. We are gonna stick with our original plan here, which is just as good. So, our croutons are out of the oven. Handful of chives, handful of parsley, a little more olive oil. Just toss them all together. So good. Here is our potato soup. Smells amazing. All right. Fabu. Little wipey. Gotta keep it cute. All right, throw this back over here. So we have a little room. Then I'm gonna show y'all how I'm going to top this. I have a little fontina cheese from another recipe. You could use Gruyere, you could use a little Parm, a little Pecorino. I just love the way the fontina melts. Then a big pile of our herby ranch croutons on there for a little crunch moment. That good sourdough. I also think this is just crying out for a fat dollop of creme fraiche. Oh my God. You can kind of like mix in the creamy creme fraiche a little bit. This is where it gets fun, is when you get to kind of build your own toppings. Little black pepper, and then I want a stupid, obnoxious amount of chives on top. That to me is perfect. Oh, look at this. What do we think, food stylists? Orange spoon or blue spoon? Blue, orange, orange. I'm so happy with this, I can barely think. That is like soup season perfection. Savory, it's warm, creamy but not too rich. Oh my gosh. With the cheese on top, you get that like French onion soup cheese pull and the ranch croutons. You gotta make it. So simple. Hot soup, cold martini. That's heaven. Okay, well this was stunning. I think we're really onto something. And I'll see you tomorrow for the next soup recipe. Bye. Hello. Last night's soup was so good, but time to get started on our next one. We are making chicken pastina soup, or as I've seen it called, Italian penicillin. Pastina is this really, really tiny pasta shape. I brought this bag back with me from Italy and I've been really meaning to use it, and this feels like the perfect occasion. Now I have cheated on you just a little bit and I prepped my other ingredients. I've got some chopped celery, some diced carrots, some really finely chopped shallots, and I kept the celery greens as well to top the soup at the end. I also have some pre-shredded rotisserie chicken to make this as easy as possible. Very, very simple soup. So I have 2 quarts, so 8 cups of my homemade chicken stock. I'm gonna go ahead and get this melting from its frozen state so we can use it in the recipe. Got my lights on today. We're back in the studio. It's all happening. Waiting on my water to get hot enough. With these frozen containers, I just run them under some hot water for a little bit to kind of loosen things up. And it should pop out pretty easy. Next one. Gonna put this over a low heat on the back of the stove just to get these big ice cubes melted. Great, I just spilled coffee everywhere. That's cool. The glamorous life we lead. All right, let that go. Oh, missed it. Okay. Was never all that good at sports. Still missed it. One more. Got it. Nothing but net. Okay. Almost forgot. I'm gonna fish out a Parmesan rind. I had this baggie of Parmesan rinds in the freezer. We'll take this piece for today. Snap this piece in half. We'll use that. And then some more fresh parm to go on the top at the end. Fabulous. All right, let's get this show on the road. All right. Got my chicken stock defrosting back here. I'm gonna get this over a medium to medium low heat. In goes a couple tablespoons of butter. This is 1 shallot that I diced pretty fine. A little salt and pepper. And we're just gonna let these soften for a minute or so. All right, the shallots have had a little bit of a head start. In goes our celery and our garlic. Toast that for a second. More butter or olive oil is needed, no biggie. Celery takes a while, so I like to give it a head start. This is gonna be so fabulous on our chicken stock back here. Looks like we're just about fully melted. Fill up my peppercorns. Okay. That's probably the worst job I've ever done, filling up my pepper grinder. Slow and steady wins the race. You know what? I'm done. I'm done. Celery, shallot, and garlic looks good. In goes our carrots. Now we're gonna bring this all up to a boil. I've got 8 cups of chicken stock here going on the back burner. All right, 8 cups of chicken stock right in. Fabulous. My homemade stock is unsalted, so I'm gonna add a little bit right now, and then we can taste this for more salt in a second. We're gonna bring this to a boil, then take it down to a simmer. I'm throwing in 1 bay leaf, and this is a little hunk of Parmesan rind from my freezer. In she goes. Smells like heaven already. I'm gonna crank my heat up just slightly. Let this get up to a boil, we'll turn it down to a simmer. Let it simmer for about 20 minutes or so until our vegetables start to soften. Then we boil the pastina, add the chicken, easy as pie. Would you look at that? By the miracle of television, we have reached a boil. I'm gonna turn my heat down. I'll check this after about 15 minutes to see how our vegetables are doing. But I'm gonna go ahead and pop a lid on this just so it doesn't reduce too much. We want that liquid to cook the pastina in. So, bring you back in a moment. All right, my loves, we are back in business. This has been simmering away for about 15 minutes or so. It's going pretty fast because I chopped my carrots so small. Let me show you how these are looking so you know kind of what to look out for. So these are breaking apart pretty easily when I mash them with my fork, but there's still a little bit of structure left. They're not mush, and that's exactly what I want. So I'm gonna crank my heat back up, and then in goes 1 cup of our pastina. Now, pastina is just like a really tiny little pasta you can see there, hopefully. Just little tiny pasta shapes. So 1 whole cup goes right in. Fab. Does not take long to cook at all. Maybe, you know, between 3 and 5 minutes. And that pasta will absorb some of the broth here too. So it's not gonna be quite as thin. So we're just gonna let this do its thing. After that, all you have to do is fish out the bay leaf and the Parmesan rind, add the chicken, test for salt. And that's it. We can enjoy a big bowl of happiness right here. Also, if you can't get your hands on pastina, you can also use orzo or some other kind of really teeny tiny little pasta. Ditalini might be a little on the big side, but that would work too. So, choose your own adventure. I make a lemon chicken orzo soup that's really similar to this, except it just uses orzo and a whole bunch of lemon zest and lemon juice. That's like the only difference. Now, let's talk chicken. Many people, myself included, will tell you to use rotisserie chicken because it is just an ease factor. The cooking's already done for you and all you have to do is shred it up. To me, shredding a rotisserie chicken is one of my most hated kitchen tasks. I don't know why, but I hate doing it. I don't know. I feel like it makes such a big mess. Now, I do get to keep the carcass for stock. You'll know I'm a stock head, so that's great. But God, I just don't want to all the time, and today was just one of those days. So some already cooked rotisserie chicken from the grocery store to the rescue. I am gonna take this and shred it up into slightly smaller chunks here, because some of these pieces are just far too big. The pasta is probably just about done by now, so I'm just gonna dump all this in. You'd wanna use about the equivalent of 2 large chicken breasts. Okie dokie. Ooh, fogging up over here. Our pastina's pretty much done. Soup is thickened up just a bit here. In goes some already cooked, already shredded rotisserie chicken. I didn't have it in me. I simply did not. Turn my heat down also. Just gonna let the chicken warm back up in there. Then we're going to fish out my bay leaf and my Parmesan rind. And dolls, that's pretty much it. Busting out my Andy Warhol soup bowls. First, I want to taste this for salt. Oh my God. That is so good. But definitely need some more salt. And some more pepper. The way that pastina just like really thickens everything up. Guys, this is where it's at. Heat off. Oh, I'm ready, baby. The toppings is always like where I geek out. Little drizzle of olive oil. I want more black pepper. I want grated parm on mine. You do red pepper flake. And then I reserved some of the celery greens from the celery. So like a little pile of those on there. I love celery greens. They're like an herb. Wow, 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 wow. How gorge. Oh my God, I'm so excited about this, y'all. That is like a warm hug in a bowl. It's those classic chicken soup flavors. You cannot let the season go by without making just a classic, excellent chicken soup like this one. So simple, so delicious. There's a reason those books are called Chicken Soup for the Soul. This is the chicken soup for my soul. I sat here and ate the whole thing. Let's ask the audience. It's like Campbell's Chicken and Stars, but much better. It's like if an early 2000s Tuscan style kitchen was a soup. Pure comfort all around. So, so good. My bowl is empty. I'm sure yours will soon be too. This is fabulous. You gotta make it. I'm gonna tidy up, put away some leftovers, and I'll meet you back here for our third soup recipe of this video. We are making a kale and white bean soup with spicy Italian sausage. See you in a sec. Folks, we have reached the final soup in our lineup for today. We are making a kale and white bean soup with spicy Italian sausage. Got all my ingredients laid out here. We're gonna do a little bit of prep work. I've already diced up half of one large yellow onion, and I sliced about 4 cloves of garlic really thin. So that's all squared away. I'm gonna start by turning our attention to our kale. This is one bunch of lacinato kale. You might also see it called dinosaur kale for obvious reasons. I'm just gonna de-stem this by grabbing the stem end of the kale with one hand, grab the leaves with the other, and just pull it off. And if you have more of that like rib stuck in there, just peel it away. All right, perfect. You can save these stems and use them in like a stock or something. I'm gonna take our kale and just rip it into bite-sized pieces. I usually always rip kale. I don't know why. You could chop it if you wanted like, I don't know, more even, uniform pieces, but it's going in a soup. I'm just gonna rip it up. All right, fab. We're looking good. I'm gonna pop all this in my salad spinner, and we're gonna give this a really thorough wash and massage it. I'm gonna run some cool water over this kale. Just enough to cover. Give it a good swish. And then I'm gonna take my hand and kind of squeeze it and massage it so it becomes nice and tender. See how green our water gets. All right, alphaba water down the drain. We're gonna spin this dry. Perfect. All right, there's our kale all situated. Now, I have 2 cans of butter beans that I'm going to drain and rinse. You can use any white bean, cannellini, Great Northern. Choice is yours. I happen to really like butter beans because they're big and chunky. Just want to rinse off the bean juice. Great, this can just chill right there until I need them. We are ready to hit the stove and brown up all the spicy Italian sausage. This is about 1 pound of spicy Italian sausage, so 4 links. I'm gonna cut these out of the casing. You could also just use the ground Italian sausage. Perfect. Ooh, this smells so, so good. Great. All right, now we can head over to the stove and brown up the sausage, get the show on the road. Breaking out the green Le Creuset this time. A little something different. I'm gonna get this over a medium-high heat. A little olive oil in the bottom. All right, we're gonna start browning all of this hot Italian sausage. I like to kind of break it up in pieces as I drop it in. Stuff like this, don't be tempted to move it around too quickly. You really want to let it brown. And I don't want to crowd the pan, so we are gonna do 2 batches. It's just what has to happen. Starting to get some really good browning on this sausage, which is exactly what we want to see. Case in point. So flip these around as best you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and scoop this up and throw it onto a little platter. Does not have to be fully cooked at this point. We're gonna put it back in the hot soup at the end, so fret not. The toasted like fennel seeds that were inside the sausage. Smells so good. In goes our second batch. All right, Same deal here for batch number 2. And then per usual, I have my homemade chicken stock waiting in the wings back here. Oof, that looks so fab. We'll revisit this later. Gone ahead and turned my heat down on this. Touch more oil as needed. Then we're gonna start sauteing our onion. Little salt and pepper on this. We're kind of using the onion as a mop to kind of mop up all these brown bits in the bottom of the pan here. Then we're gonna deglaze with a big splash of white wine. Scrape all this up. This is why I love soup recipes like this. It all comes together in one pot. You use all of the flavor that you've been building throughout the whole recipe, and it always, always hits. You know what? I think we deserve a little glass. What do y'all think? We've been working hard. Okay. Gonna let these onions start to soften. Next, for some heat, I am adding, say, a heaping teaspoon, maybe slightly less, of chopped Calabrian chili. Let's go for a few minutes over medium-low heat. This is based off of an old Jeffrey Zakarian recipe that I would make in college, and I've kind of adapted it over time. In college, I was certainly not using chopped Calabrian chili or nice dry white wine. You just kind of make do with what you have. Certainly wasn't using homemade chicken stock, that's for sure. Next, this is 4 cloves of garlic that I sliced really thin. In she goes. We're gonna toast the garlic in there for just a minute or so because you do not want it to burn. Making chicken pot pies a couple weeks ago, and man, I burnt my garlic and my leeks so bad. All right, looking great. Next, 6 cups chicken stock. We're gonna bring this to a boil and simmer it until the onions are totally cooked through. In goes a bay leaf. Couple sprigs of fresh thyme. We'll fish those out later. Then, because I happen to have one, I will throw a little piece of Parmesan rind in there, just like the last recipe. Then we're gonna bring this to a boil, turn it down to a simmer, let it go for about 15-20 minutes, and we'll add in the rest of our goodies. All right, friends, this has been simmering for about 15 minutes. Nice and gentle. Next, I'm adding our drained and rinsed butter beans. They're, you know, lima beans, but who's to say? Those beans need plenty of salt. A little black pepper in here too. I want them to simmer in here for a few minutes. And then we're actually gonna take our immersion blender and blend about half of the beans to kind of thicken things up, give us a bit more of a stew-like consistency. You can leave it just like this if you want to skip that step. Our beanies have been simmering away. So I'm going to fish out the bay leaf. Oops. Okay, it fell over here. Also gonna fish out these thyme sprigs. And that Parmesan rind, if I can freaking find it. Hang on, was that it? No. Needle in the haystack. There we go. Okay. Fabulous. Now I've got my trusty rusty immersion blender here. I'm gonna turn my heat off for this part. We are just gonna blitz up about half of these beans. I'm just gonna kind of dip the blender in, pulse it a few times. That's good, I don't wanna overdo it. Just gives everything a little bit more body. And as you can see, we still have plenty of whole chunky bean goodness going on. Next, time for all of our kale. Gonna add the whole bunch. And this is gonna wilt down in here like you would not believe. Heat back on, let this simmer for another 5-7 minutes or so. Get the kale kind of gently cooking down, a little more tender. Fab. Alrighty, our kale has been simmering away. So let's finish this up. Only thing left to do is add all of our hot Italian sausage back in. Let this sit for just a few minutes because any of those sausage pieces that aren't fully cooked are gonna, you know, finish cooking as they sit in here. Ooh, this is gonna be so fab. It is just screaming out for like a crunchy baguette to go with. All right, I'm gonna turn this off. give this a quick test for salt. Just taste the broth. Mmm. Oh my gosh, how nice. Come on, babe, we're gonna paint the town. And all that jazz. I'm gonna rouge my knees and roll my stockings down. All right, babes, it is time. Take one wild guess what bowl we're using. Let's clean her up. Wowie, wowie, wow. I'm gonna finish this one in a very similar fashion. Olive oil drizzle. This time, a little grated pecorino feels right. And some black pepper. And all that jazz. I am excited for this. You'd think I might be tired of soup yet, and you'd be completely wrong. This would be a great, like, dead of winter type soup also. It is so savory. A little bit of spice from the Calabrian chilies and the spicy sausage, but kale just cooks down, crunchy toast. Nothing wrong with that. See, I thought the potato and leek was gonna be my favorite. This one might have just inched it out. It has a lot going on texture-wise, which I really like. No two bites are exactly the same. And then to sop up that broth with your bread. Well, friends, our little soup adventure has come to an end. Hope you all enjoyed these recipes as much as I did. It is the time of year for a good bowl of soup, and I hope at least one of these three spoke to you in such a way that you'd want to make it. All the full recipes will be out in a new edition of my newsletter. It's called The Dinner Club. You can find all the information to subscribe down below. And I'm going to kick it back over to myself for another edition of Ask Harry, where I'm answering more of your cooking and entertaining questions. And I'll see you divas soon. And I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Wasn't that nice? Hopefully it kind of puts you in like the autumnal, sitting by the fireside, eating a bowl of soup spirit. I know it did for me. But if it's okay with you, I'm ready for another edition of Ask Harry, and I'm answering more of your cooking and entertaining questions. Let's start with some of the ones that are like strictly food related, and then it can devolve from there. What do you say? So Ashley is in the paid subscriber chat over on Substack. So hey, Miss Mama. She says, is it really necessary to rinse rice before cooking it? Allow me to demonstrate. All right, so rinsing your rice and whether or not it really makes a difference. I would say it does. However, not all rices need rinsing. If we're talking about your standard white rice, jasmine, basmati, what have you, I would absolutely rinse this several times to get all the excess starch off, and I'll show you what I mean. All right, so just for demonstration purposes, this is half a cup of white rice. I'm gonna get some cool water on this, swish it around, and you'll see how that water becomes pretty cloudy almost immediately. So what I would do is dump off the excess water, rinse this rice a couple more times until that water is mostly clear. That extra starch will gum things up when you go to cook your rice. And it kind of gives you a more of a sticky porridge-like consistency. So if what you're after is fluffy, perfectly cooked rice, that starch has got to go. Usually about 3 times does the trick. See, still some cloudiness to the water, but it's really not bad. That should probably do it. See how our water is mainly clear now? I'd say that rice is ready to use. Other types of rice might need no rinsing or just less rinsing. This is a basmati blend. It has brown rice, red rice, and wild rice in here. I still rinse this when I use it like in a soup or something, but I find that it releases a lot less starch, so I guess you could say it matters a bit less. Arborio rice, which is what you use to make risotto, I do not rinse at all. In fact, you really want the extra starch on the surface of the rice grains, because that is what's going to help thicken your risotto as it cooks. But by and large, yes, I always rinse my rice if I'm just making standard rice. Okay, Ashley, hopefully that answered your question. Next up, another food-related question from Kitsy in the Substack chat. She says, when you cook beans like pintos, etc., do you add salt at the beginning or the end of cooking, or both? I just read that salt toughens the beans if you put it at the beginning. Okay, to be totally frank with you, Kitsy, my experience with cooking beans like from dry is fairly limited. I've only made them a handful of times. I will say when I soak the beans at the start, I don't add any salt at that stage. But I will add a little bit of salt when I first start cooking them. The last time I did them was in the slow cooker, so I did add a little bit of salt at that point, but I was also cooking it with other like salty ingredients, like smoked ham hocks, some sauteed onions and peppers that I had already seasoned with salt. So I would go pretty sparing at the beginning, or you can just skip it entirely. And then once those beans cook, definitely taste them at the end for salt no matter what. When it comes to cooking in general, I tend to season with each step as I go to help like build that flavor over time. Now, whether or not it toughens the beans to add that salt in the beginning, I don't know. That's like a food scientist question, and I don't exactly know the answer. So if anyone happens to have a bit more of a thorough answer on that one, please feel free to put it down below. I'm sure Kitsy would appreciate it. But I will tell you, I did season at the beginning, just a little bit, and my beans were not tough. Everything tasted just fine. All right, Sam on Instagram, what are your best recommendations for cheese in mac and cheese? I will tell you what my mac and cheese contains and what I like to use. I do a combination of Fontina, Gouda, sharp cheddar, and yellow American cheese in mine. The Fontina, because it has a mild flavor but melts so beautifully. Gouda and sharp cheddar primarily for flavor and that kind of like sharpness, from a piece of sharp cheddar. And then yellow American because A, it melts so well and it gets so creamy. In my experience, using yellow American cheese in a cheese sauce can tend to keep things from seizing up and getting too grainy. It's got something to do with like the artificial chemicals in a yellow American cheese. I'm an American cheese defender. I love American cheese. I will use it till I die. I will say not all American cheese is made equally. In my mind, a Kraft single, the ones that come individually wrapped in the plastic, wrapper, that's a pass for me. A Kraft single it has like a chalky sort of feeling when you eat it. However, a Kraft Deli Deluxe, totally different animal in my opinion. That is American cheese perfection, is the Kraft Deli Deluxe. I need to do some further research on the subject, but I believe one is labeled like a pasteurized processed cheese product or a pasteurized processed cheese food, whereas Kraft Deli Deluxe is pasteurized processed American cheese. I'm gonna get the wrapper and show you. You know I got some in my fridge. Don't even worry about that. Here we go. Yep. See, I wish I had a Kraft single to compare with you guys, but I don't buy them. Cut to me doing a brand deal of Kraft singles next month. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Kraft Deli Deluxe. Pasteurized processed American cheese. Not pasteurized processed cheese food or pasteurized processed cheese product. I think it has to have like a certain percentage of actual like dairy or milk fat to be considered cheese. Thumbnail. Okay, that's my feelings on the cheese subject. That's my cheese truth. All right, Abigail on Instagram. What desserts for Thanksgiving do you recommend besides apple or pumpkin pie? Fabulous question. And also very top of mind for me because I am really like knee deep in Thanksgiving recipes right now. I think that chocolate desserts are kind of underrated for Thanksgiving. First of all, everyone loves a chocolate dessert, and everyone's going to be expecting pumpkin pie, sweet potato pie, apple pie. Like Thanksgiving's a pie day, right? For dinner parties, I think I did this for New Year's actually. A big tub of chocolate mousse is so decadent, but also it's not too heavy. You can make the whole thing in advance, like a day or two if you wanted. Stash it in the fridge. You can serve it out of a big tureen, family style. That's really fun. And then it's like a very low effort dessert. Thanksgiving's all about timing things correctly and not overworking yourself. And that's a good way to do it. Last year I published a recipe for an apple and pear tarte tatin that was so fabulous. And again, very simple. You assemble it in the pan, just sliced apples and sliced pears and a puff pastry crust to make things really easy. Another thing would be like a one pan apple crumble. It's a recipe I'm still working through to publish this year. But the idea is chopped apples, spices, sugar, little lemon juice, and you kind of do just like a baked apple pie filling and then top that with like a streusel crumb, throw it in the oven. Easy peasy. Last year, I'm probably gonna do it again this year because my family loves them, chocolate chip cookies. Do something that everyone's gonna actually really enjoy. 2 dozen chocolate chip cookies, a big pan of brownies. It doesn't have to be some super inventive, super autumnal thing. It can be just what you like. And that's an okay answer. If you're the person hosting, it's okay to outsource dessert. Like, let's be so real. Thanksgiving, it's not really a dessert holiday, in my opinion. For some people, it's like all about the pies, and that's great. I want you to live your pie truth. For me, it's about the meal. And if someone shows up with a grocery store pumpkin pie, I'm not gonna be mad. You know what I mean? There's so much damn food. Anyway, Abigail, hope that answers your question, and more dessert recipes for Thanksgiving to come, so keep an eye out. All right, now we're getting into some fun and kind of different ones. All right, Izzy on Instagram asked me, hi, I would love a video of your most loved kitchen utensils from my registry. And then the follow-up question is like, also kind of what would you do if you were building a wedding registry from scratch? Well, Izzy, spending other people's money is a topic near and dear to my heart. So let me take you back into the kitchen and kind of talk you through a couple ideas for you. Welcome to my humble little kitchen store. So, wondering about must-haves to put on your wedding registry. Very exciting, although I can't really understand why anybody would want to get married in the first place. That's none of my business. So, here's a couple directions I would go. This is actually, funny enough, really top of mind for me. So my friend Caitlin's getting married next year. She asked me to help out with her registry. My older brother is getting married in like 3 weeks. My younger brother got married this year. My manager got married this year. I'm surrounded. Oh, I'm going to another wedding the weekend after my brother's wedding. Straight people, what is going on? Something's in the water. You specifically asked about utensils, so I will start there. I love pretty much all of my wooden utensils. I think a set of spurtles is a pretty low cost thing to put on your registry, or you can just pick these up for yourself if you wanted. A couple sets on Amazon are available. They're just basically like a cross between a wooden spoon and a spatula, and I love them for chilies and breaking up pieces of ground meat, or for like, you know, stirring a big pot of something. Love this. I think everyone needs a handful of really good wooden spoons. This one is from Sur La Table. And then if you want like a specific brand to look out for, Berard, B-E-R-A-R-D. French brand, I bought both of these in Paris and I use them constantly, especially this kind of pointed little small wooden spoon. This one might be my favorite child. And then you can look for a kind of angled, more flat sort of spatula spoons like this one too. Great for all kinds of things. I wouldn't really call this a utensil. I wouldn't really call it a utensil, more of a tool, but everyone needs really solid measuring cups. This set is from Made In. They are really high quality. I will say they're hefty. Like you could whack somebody with this thing. It's the real deal. Dishwasher safe. Speaking of Made In, great brand to go to for your stainless cookware. If you're picking out a couple of pieces to start with, I would go for like a large stock pot, a couple sizes of frying pan. This one's a 10-inch. You can go for a 10 and a 12 or an 8 and a 10 if you want to do eggs in the smaller one. And then a large saucepan like this. This is their 3-quart saucier. I reach for this thing multiple times a day, not even kidding. Caraway, also another great brand to look out for. I think it's pretty widely available. This is their enameled small Dutch oven brazier. Really cute navy blue color. Comes in all kinds of colors. This was part of my holiday gift guide last year. I reach for that quite a bit. It's a great little pot. In that same ilk, again, if we're spending someone else's money, asking for a Le Creuset is never gonna be a bad idea. I get asked about this one a lot. The color is called Ganache. I don't know if they still make it. Just saying. Again, another kitchen workhorse that will last you a lifetime if you treat it right. And it's something that's going to be worth having in your home and also worth the money that someone else is spending to give it to you, right? Other things in that category, a nice high-powered blender like a Vitamix or the Ninja one. I don't own that one, but have heard good things. Also in that category, a Cuisinart food processor. Really can't go wrong with like the OG one. This one was my grandma's. She gave it to me earlier this year. I used to not really be a food processor person. I didn't really believe in them because it's just kind of like one more thing to clean. But man, it really does come in handy. In general, ask for things that you know you're going to use and that you know will already fit into your lifestyle. Don't put something on a wedding registry just because you think you're supposed to have this thing on a wedding registry. Do you know what I mean? For bakeware, I love Staub ceramic bakeware. If you're registered like on Amazon or I think like at Crate and Barrel, Williams Sonoma, you can find this at any of those places. I purchased this as part of a set of 3 with like a small medium and then this big 9x13. Runs under $100 for the set. I think that's still the case. Tariffs might have gotten to it, but really well made, really good weight. They look pretty, tons of colors to choose from. Can't go wrong. The thing that I think a lot of people tend to forget about, or is something that you might not have, is really nice serving pieces. So if you're gonna start to host like actual dinner parties, and maybe you're having a housewarming, or you wanna do Christmas at your house, whatever the case is, I think everyone needs a really solid set of serving pieces. That includes serving utensils like this. This is the tortoise shell set from Sabre. I love all my Sabre cutlery. That's another great thing to put on your registry. I think everyone needs a couple of good platters. This particular set is just this white platter with this blue piping. The brand is Maison Madison, but the Lulu and Georgia team was kind enough to gift these to me. This larger rectangle I'm gonna use for Thanksgiving. A couple nice options like this. Doesn't have to be super seasonal. You can use this year round. It would look just as pretty on the 4th of July as it would on Thanksgiving. And this is the kind of the thing that I would go for. Serving bowls too fall in that same category. Serving tongs for you putting a bunch of food out. But like, don't go and register for like a whole set of really expensive china at Neiman's if you're like really not the kind of person to break that out so often. I think that's why people get confused about this, is they think they should be asking for a ton of these like traditional things, or I think they should be asking for a certain number of linen napkins. And I think you just really have to look at how you cook, how you host, and the things you're actually going to use. That's kind of the biggest piece of advice. So I really hope that answers your question. It's a great one to ask. And I'm gonna put all these things in a little collection down in the description, so you can click there, shop those links if any of these particular items, you know, pique your interest, or if you wanna add those to your registry. I think these would all be great directions to go, and things that, like, if I was a wedding guest, I would love to gift any one of these things. We actually have another question about gift giving, so let's answer that one next. Next question from Lauren, kind of along the same lines. Would love your suggestions for great Christmas gifts. What's perfect for in-laws? Holiday shopping season's already started. I think I bought like 2 or 3 gifts already. I'll be putting out a whole gift guide again, and I'll go ahead and link my 2024 gift guide down below over on TikTok if you want to go and look at that, just to get some kind of like baseline ideas. All those things I still love and stand by, so I can't say this year's gift guide is going to be terribly different. Here's my philosophy with gift giving in general. It helps if you know who you're buying for, and not just like, I know their name, but like, what does that person really like? Gift giving is 100% my love language. I love to give gifts. I love giving gifts more than I like getting gifts. And I am a deeply shallow, incredibly materialistic gay man. I love stuff. So for me to say that I like giving more than getting says a lot. What's really gonna wow someone is if you can remember something that they mentioned in conversation, something they mentioned in passing, something they would like to do that they would never ordinarily do or buy for themselves. You know what I mean? Especially for like in-laws. If they're like older than you know, maybe they can just kind of go out and like do whatever they want when they want. And if your mother-in-law loves to cook, for example, she probably has bought pretty much everything she would want to use. So it can be hard. But if you're able to pinpoint something where she says, ooh, I would love to go take a baking class, that'd be a great gift to give. Your father-in-law have like a certain cocktail he loves to make. Maybe he's a big martini guy. So if you were to go out and find some really nice martini glasses, maybe at a vintage store, maybe some really cute ones from like Pottery Barn or Lulu and Georgia or something, and surprise him with those, something that he would like actually love and really use. I think that's kind of like the perfect intersection of a gift, which is where it's something you know they will really, really enjoy, something you know they will use, and something they would not ordinarily buy for themselves or think to buy for themselves. That's kind of the magic to it for me. Hang on, my cousin Callie's in Italy right now and she's FaceTiming me. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno, who's in the room?
My YouTube channel. Hi.
Hopefully that's in it.
All right, that was fun. Where were we? Yeah, I think I was on the gift giving question. It's hard to say because I think gifts should be really tailored to the recipient. That's just my philosophy on it. I think that's like the hallmark of a good gift. It's something that is really specific to that person. But sometimes you just need something generic. And I totally understand that situation too. If you are in that situation, what would I give in-laws if I just needed like a generic win that pretty much anybody would love? If you can find out what their favorite restaurant is for a date night, that's a great way to go. You can get a gift certificate to that restaurant. Gift cards, I think, are a little impersonal unless you like really know that that person would use the hell out of that gift card. For example, my brother. Every year I buy him like a fat ass gift card to the grocery store, Target, Walmart, whatever. I know he appreciates that because my brother is a very, very practical person. And he's like, great, family groceries taken care of for the next month. And like, he's happy to receive that. Someone else might look at it at a gift card and be like, oh, a gift card. But like, he genuinely loves it and appreciates it. So gift cards are a bit borderline. Something with like the initial of their last name on it. Williams Sonoma has some really cute like marble trays with initials on it. That would be great gifts. A really nice blanket is always a great way to go. A nice home scents, like a candle from like Diptyque or from Flamingo Estate or things like that. Kind of like little everyday luxuries are always a great route to go. When in doubt, pajamas. All right, Stephanie from the Substack chat has also asked, this might be a whole video, but I'd love to get to know you more, how you got into cooking, my favorite things to cook. We could play a little this or that. That would be, I'll write that one down. I don't know if we'll get to that one today. What's my last supper meal, any foods I don't like, etc. That totally could be an entire video. But I'll answer the first question and the last two questions. So how I got into cooking. I grew up watching a whole lot of Food Network. Like, voracious Food Network consumer. Barefoot Contessa, Everyday Italian with Giada De Laurentiis. I loved the evening shows, Good Eats, Unwrapped. Like that was everything to me. But I've always really, really loved food and eating, of course. Growing up, my dad actually did most of the cooking in the house. My mom has like a handful of things that she makes really well. She does quite a bit of baking, especially on the holidays. Like she has fudge that everyone like raves about each year. She makes really good baked beans, meatloaf, that kind of thing. So she has like, a handful of recipes that she goes to. My dad did like most of the day-to-day cooking. And then when I got into college and had an apartment and was like starting to really cook for myself and have people over, I just totally fell in love with it. I love that feeling when you make something and you nail it. And people are like, oh gosh, that was so good. I really enjoyed that. Or I'm so glad you made that. That is crack cocaine into my veins, baby. Yeah, I just kind of got the bug, so to speak. Started sharing some recipes on TikTok. I was spending a lot of time scrolling on TikTok. I was like, what if I just started like putting something on here instead? And this is what it's turned into. So wild, wild times. I guess those are the last two questions. My last supper meal, any foods that I don't like. My last supper meal is, okay, so we're gonna start with like a sushi appetizer. I want some Otoro tuna belly in there for sure. I'll do like a little spicy tuna crispy rice moment. I love any kind of yellowtail sashimi, so we're gonna start there. Drink-wise, a Vesper Martini is gonna happen with a regular Coke on the side. If it's my last meal, I'm gonna go with a full-fat Coke. Main course, I would like a steak frite. I probably would prefer like a hanger steak or like a New York strip, and I want it rare, like really rare, bleeding bloody red on the inside. I want little shoestring fries that I can pick up with my fork and soak in the beef juices. And I would like a sauce, but probably on the side. Maybe like an au poivre, like a peppercorn sauce or a béarnaise or a chimichurri, something of that nature, but it's gonna be on the side. I want to choose my adventure there. Then I think for my dessert, I would like a fat wedge of dark chocolate cake, like the size of my head. And I want multiple layers. I want really moist, dense cake and a really fudgy, dark chocolate icing. That's it. And then you can kill me. All right, Abby on Instagram has asked advice on starting with needlepoint. The way that I've become a needlepoint content creator in the last like 2 weeks is so fun. I'm just having so much fun doing it. I would say, oh, let me get my project bag to show you guys, hang on. I talked about it on TikTok, but I haven't shown it here yet. But I finished Ina. Did a green and ivory stripe in the background. And that's what I'm starting next. This really fun polo bear for Christmas time. Advice on how to start. So I got really lucky because my friend Kenzie is the one that like inducted me into the needlepoint cult. And we were on vacation on Nantucket when we went to the Erica Wilson store there. And it was great because she was kind of like able to guide me through and say, okay, you're gonna need a needle minder and you'll need needles and you'll need stretcher bars and you're gonna wanna, pick your threads and you want this size thread for this size canvas. It was nice to have someone to kind of like shepherd me through the process. So if you'd like me to be your needlepoint shepherd, I'm more than happy to oblige. Hit me up in the DMs. So that made it really easy. I will say, if you're like starting this on your own, if you have a local needlepoint store close to you, or within reasonable driving distance, maybe you can kind of like make a day of it. Be a nice little date to take yourself on. Or if you have a friend that wants to start needlepointing too, you can go together. If you have a local needlepoint store, it's great to be able to shop in person, pick out a canvas that you want to do first. I would recommend something with just a couple colors, maybe like something small, something relatively simple, because once you do it successfully, then you're going to keep wanting to do it. So that's what's going to keep you in the hobby and in the zone for longer, is if you can, have a really good go your first try. So maybe you don't have a needlepoint store near you and you're kind of doing it all online. I'll list some of my favorite like online needlepoint retailers down below. So Brennan, who runs this brand called Sunday Shop, she makes these really cute project bags. She has a set that she sells online that is like a small canvas that comes already kitted with all the threads, all the materials, and a little stitch guide. I think I have a copy of hers in here. I don't know if it'll look like this, but this came with my order. Like a little stitch guide that shows you how to do continental stitch and the basket weave stitch. That's upside down. You can read that now. Basket weave was like a little harder to get, but continental I found really easy to pick up. And it's one of those things where it's like, it doesn't really make sense looking at it, how you do it, but once you start and it clicks, you're gonna be rocking and rolling, I promise you. So I will link Brennan's shop down below for those beginner kits, which I think would be a really great place to start. And then once you get going, I'm telling you, it's gonna escalate so quickly. I am about to embark on a self-finishing journey. The folks at Cowtown Needlepoint, they're a needlepoint finishing service in Fort Worth, kindly gave me access to their finishing course. So I'm gonna teach myself how to do it. I ordered all the stuff. My grandma and I are gonna figure it out, and it's gonna be so much fun. And then I can finally tackle this whole bag of finished projects that need to get dealt with. Is that everything? Did I answer all the questions? We talked about rice and beans. We talked about macaroni and cheese. We talked about wedding registries. We talked a little bit more about me. We talked about gifts giving. Oh my gosh, I think that's all of our questions for today. Thank y'all so much for watching. A little bit about what's to come. So Thanksgiving stuff's gonna start rolling out. Really excited about that. Probably around like mid-late November, you're gonna get a monstro Thanksgiving episode here on YouTube where I'll take you through my whole Thanksgiving dinner, start to finish. It's gonna be really good. Ahead of that, I'll probably share some individual recipes here on YouTube. Just kind of get you in the spirit, get some things, some ideas brewing. If there's anything specific y'all want to see in this Thanksgiving season, leave that down below. I'd love to hear from you. All of these soup recipes were so fun to make, so delicious, and I'm like stocked with leftovers. So I've just been like giving soup away to everybody I know. All those recipes are gonna be out in my newsletter, which is called The Dinner Club. You can find the link to subscribe down below. That's all the time we have for today. I had so much fun with you. Glad you could make it. And I will see you lovely people in the next one. Cheers.